got that. And we'll get this. All right, my hope at this point is that you guys are all seeing my screen. Looks like a lot of you are in the presentation, which is great. Seeing some nods, thank you very much. All right, so let's jump into it. It is, this has been a long time coming. So, you know, Google Classroom has been around now for a number of years. Canvas has been around for a number of years. And these two, just, we'll put it out there, the two are not enemies. The two have always cooperated, but they're actually doubling down on it. Canvas is gaining a lot of specifically 612 market share. Most of the colleges in America now use this as well. A few people are still using Blackboard, but most people have come over to Canvas. So anyway, Canvas is a growing thing. Google realizes that, and so what had been happening is Google Docs Cloud Assignments was a Google Canvas product built by Canvas. Google has seen what's going on and they want to be part of it. So Google has actually built their own Google Canvas tool, and that's what I'm showing you today. So this product has, it's not just the support of Google, it is Google. So now, you know, good resources there. We're thinking it should work well. Now, you know how Google works though. Once they roll something out, they're not done. They build it as they're going. So we expect there will be some changes. I'm going to mention some of those in a little bit. Right here at the beginning, there's going to be some trade-offs, and I really want you to take away from this how to decide when to do which. That was a confusing sentence. But I want you to walk away being able to say, here's what I want the kids to actually do, so here's the path I should take. All right, that's our goal. So what is happening? This got turned on this morning. Canvas and Google are in the process right now of transitioning to what is called Google Assignments LTI 1.3. But if you just want to call it 1.3 or Google Assignments, it's, I'll know what you're talking about. This is, like I said, it's in the process of being rolled out. It'll be rolled out between now and August of next year. So the beginning of next school year, the old Google integration will no longer work, and the new Google integration will be the only one that exists. So we've got a period here of about 6-7 months. We'll have semester 2, where both products are in operation. That's why I wanted to talk to as many people as I could today. Now that this is turned on, you will see 2 Google items in Canvas as external tools. So that's what we're doing here. All right. Let's jump into it. So here's how it's going to work. So up until this point, we've been using the verbiage Google Docs Cloud Assignment or Google Docs Cloud Submit. Like I said, that was a Canvas product. It worked pretty well. Certainly some glitches, but it worked pretty well. This gave you all the Google stuff as far as make each kid a copy. The kids got the blue submit button, all those things. That was the only product available until today in Moore County schools. Now, let me move this so we can see. All right, and now, beginning August 21, moving forward, Google Assignments LTI 1.3 will be the only product available. So here's where we are. We're November 18th through August 21. You see that both products are in production. And we just need to be aware what the differences are, and we need to know which one to choose when. There's going to be some assumptions here. For the first part, I want to assume that you at least know what Google Google Clouds are. That's what we've been doing. You go to Google Docs Cloud Submit, it pulls up your Google Drive, you pick which item you want the students to have a template of, and then it gives them those copies. That's what we've been doing till now. So when I'm talking through, I'm only going to talk through the new version, but I'll be referencing that old version. If I throw anybody in that process, by all means, turn your mic on and we'll talk it out. I want to make sure everybody really has a good grasp of this moving forward. So don't be afraid to ask questions in the chat. Carrie's going to help me monitor that, or just turn your mic on and ask me the question. So anytime you're adding stuff to your course, there's two questions that you need to ask yourself. And again, you always think about this with your end user in mind. What do I want the kids to actually do? It's all about the kids. First, the first question is this just for the students to learn from, or is it an assignment? So the difference is, right, if I have a PowerPoint that I just want them to look at, then that's pure instruction. If I want them to look at a PowerPoint and then do something, like maybe they're editing it or maybe they're responding to, that becomes an assignment. When you use the word assignment in Canvas, it's going to make an item in the student's gradebook, in your gradebook. So note the difference here. When I say instruction, I mean a purely one-way conversation. You're delivering content to the students. When I use the terminology assignment, that's the students, it's a two-way. You are doing something and then they are turning something back in. Could be in a variety of means, but assignment means the kids are taking action. So if your answer to question one is, I'm just doing this for instruction, then you've got two options. You can embed it in the rich content editor, or you can just add it directly to the modules. I'm going to show you what both of those are. So that's if it's for instruction, a one-way conversation. Now, if you chose assignment, I want the kids to actually turn something in. Well, now if it's an assignment, I've got this question for you. Are they going to turn in an original product, or is this a template that I've made as a teacher and they're just filling it in? So note the difference. A template is anything that I provide that they fill in return. That could be a Google drawing of the parts of a cell. That could be guided notes that are in Google Docs. You name it. I've seen people use templates of Google Slides presentations. So maybe I'm in Ms. Murphy's World History class. I've been assigned the Mediterranean, the ancient Mediterranean. And now I fill in 5 slides with content about that group of people. All right, that's still a template that I'm filling in and turning back in. Alternatively, an original product could be go and take a picture of the biome in which you live. That picture is an original product. If I say, answer these 5 questions on a Google Doc, that Google Doc is an original product. If I say, go to Quizlet, do the matching game, and take a screenshot when you get 100% correct, then that screenshot is an original product. The student made it, it never existed before. So that's the difference in the terminology now between template versus original product. So if it is an assignment and it's an original document, we're going to use file upload. Y'all have heard me preaching that for a while. File uploads are great. They're very straightforward. They're very simple to use. On a Chromebook, it'll pull up every file that child has in their entire Google Drive. So it doesn't matter if it's a Google Doc. It doesn't matter if it's a video, whatever, it'll see it. Now, alternatively, if it's a template, the templates, we're going to use external tools. And that's going to pull from the teacher's Google Drive. It'll make a copy for each child. They'll get that copy, fill it in, click the blue button, and it's turned in. So these are my 2 questions. I'll always ask you the 2 questions if I'm helping you figure out which way to go. So now this is the diagram that I'm going to share with you as well in one of those links. If I want to use a Google item that's just for the students to view, it is purely instructional. Here we go. I can embed using my rich content editor, or I can put it directly into my module. Alternatively, if it's an assignment, I'm going to expect something back from this child. That's going to be, that's an assignment. If it's an original document, I'll use a file upload. Now, when I use the word static, static means that it's a copy of a file that doesn't change. It's like a picture in time. So if you use a file upload for a Google Doc, what it's going to do is go to that child's drive, take a picture of that document, and then you will get that picture in your speed grader. If the child goes back and changes something after you took that, after they hit submit, you will not see that change because you took a static file. It's a picture in time. Now, one alternative to that is if I'm like an ELA teacher or a social studies teacher, and we're working through a document together, and I want to keep coming back to this file. Like I want you to turn it in, but I want you to see my comments, and then I want you to change it a little bit. Then I want you to turn it in again, and I will comment again. And we keep kind of that revolving door to try to improve over time. That's when I could use my, you would still choose online, you would choose URL this time, and make sure the student gives you the share URL. So that would be a link to a live document. So just note the difference. File upload is static. If they give you the share URL, that's a living doc. Now, if I'm going to give them a product, if I'm giving them a template for them to complete, my choice is going to be external tool, Google LTI 1.3. Now, again, that is a choice right now because you have both Google products in production, but I'm only addressing the new Google LTI 1.3 today. So let's jump into what that looks like. So right now I'm going to look at how do I add stuff from Google Drive into my rich content editor, and how do I add it directly into my modules. So let me go to a course.
Will,
yep.
Can we take a pause for just a second? I have a couple of questions.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So is that why we get blank assignments sometimes? I think going back to your upload.
Yeah. You know, I think to address this question perfectly, I would need more information, but I'll tell you, the biggest problem that I see with each of these, and right now we're talking about the file upload. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was Daria that submitted the question. I can tell you what I mean.
Let's do it.
Sometimes when I give the students a worksheet, they'll do it and they say it's saved, and then they'll pull it up. But then when they hit submit it in Canvas, it'll come up just the blank worksheet, not with any of their answers on it. So is that because of the static that you mentioned, probably?
No, I'll tell you exactly what it
Snapshot?
is. It is it's a training behavior among our students that we just have to get on the same page with. I would venture a guess, and I think I'd be right. The child has gone to File, Make a Copy, and they've done their work on the copy, but that copy that they made is not linked to Canvas. They made that. The other version that I've seen with that is if you shared with them a template that is in Microsoft Word, any kind of Microsoft product, if I try to do that on a Chromebook, that's problematic. What the kid will probably do is go to open in Google Docs. Once they click into open it in Google Docs, they've actually made a copy of that Microsoft Word product in Google Docs, which again breaks the link. So what we need to get to is us as teachers, we need to make sure we're sharing, we need to do the conversion on our end. If it happened to be a Microsoft document, let's go ahead and turn our copy into Google and then share that template with the students. That way their Chromebooks don't have to do any heavy lifting. And then the second part is we want to make sure the kids understand, don't get crazy. All I need you to do is type in the template and click submit. Don't go to File, Make a Copy. Don't do any of those things. All I need you to do is type your answers in, type in your work, and click submit. So those two pieces are going to be it in what you're describing, if I'm understanding it correctly. The other issue I see a lot, which isn't exactly what you're talking about, but I'll mention it here. When kids try to share a link to their work, so they're trying to share the URL, what kids are doing most of the time when it messes up, they'll come up here to their URL line, highlight, copy, and give you that. Now the issue with that is, if you look right here, they just shared with you the edit version. That's when you get the screen that says you need permission to access this document. That's why that happens. What we need our kids to do is, if they're going to turn in a link, we need to get our kids used to going to, okay, to turn in a link to me, you go to share and get this link. All right. If I go to that link right there, well, it still knows it's me, doggone it. But anyway, it would have the word share or view right here instead of edit. So that's another very common problem we see, is that they're just sharing the wrong link. And you'll get that error that says you need permission to access this document. All right, did I answer you or did I talk around you?
Oops, there we go. I think I got it from, you did answer it, yes.
Okay. One thing that I'm going to try to work on as well is I want to make some GIFs that are available to all of our teachers across Moore County, that every time we do an assignment like this, you have a bank and you just go pull this GIF in and it shows you exactly what I need the kid to do. And you can just put that at the bottom of your assignment and say like technical help or how to submit. You just plug that GIF in and it shows the kid all they need to do. So that's near the top of my to-do list, and I'll make those available. And I think it's just a training piece.
That's awesome. I have a follow-up question.
Yep.
And it goes kind of in line with Park's question about the URL. So if the kids are submitting that URL and they're pulling it from the share button and it's a view only, if they don't give us the editing access to it, can we see the version history?
If you only have view access, do you get to see the version history?
So can we see if like they miraculously put all of the answers in there at one time?
That's right. There was one edit in 1 second and it was complete. Let me get a good answer to you. I think you're correct. I think view access would not do that.
Okay.
So you may want to, like y'all are, you kind of already said, instead of click on share and click here automatically, it might be come up here, we'll add Leanne in here and get that copy that way. So then you would have access to all that. But yeah, that's a good thought.
Thank you.
Yep. My bad, I was on mute that whole time, huh? All right, one other thing that I'm interested to see is once Google finishes building this tool out, and there's a little bit of work left to do, this is gonna operate basically like, well, is it even fair to say basically? It's gonna operate exactly like Google Classroom does. And we're gonna talk in a minute about how it's gonna create that file structure inside of the teacher's drive. So those documents, when the kid gets a copy, that is actually in your drive. And you can click on those at any time. And if they're in your drive, I would think you've got full access to do that. So that might be some more help in that same direction. Ooh, and I'm gonna talk about something in a minute that I think you'll very much like when we get into student kind of honesty and integrity. Okay, are we good right now, Carrie? Is that all the questions so far?
We have one more.
Yeah.
It says, I have another question. Okay. I've been using the peer review function and it doesn't seem to work with cloud assignment. I have to post a document and then have them make a copy. Is there a smoother way to distribute an assignment that they will peer review?
So peer review and cloud assignments don't work well together. My guess would be is because the item being shared back and forth is shared with the teacher and the creator, but not the other students. Is that correct?
Sorry, I had to find my unmute. Maybe. I never thought about the mechanism of it. Just that if I set it up to do the Google Docs cloud assignment, then peer review would be grayed out. I wouldn't be able to activate it. So you could be right, because it needs to be shared with the reviewers. And so it has to be through a different channel.
That sounds very probable. There's another item over here on the left called collaborations that works through Google as well. I wonder if we could play around with some of these things too. So I don't have a good answer for you right now. Let's think about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's where our issue is, but as far as making it work the way you want it to, let's think about that. And shoot me an email if you don't mind, and I'll remember to look into that. Because that's really neat.
It's not a huge problem. It's just that based on what you just said, it would be simpler for the student if we always ask them to do the same thing rather than asking them to make their own copy sometimes and not other times.
Yeah. Yeah, all of our lives are going to be much better if we get on the same page about how things get turned in. It makes troubleshooting easier, and it's one of those things where if we all say the same thing one semester, then moving forward it gets a lot easier. So just similarity in some of these assignment types is going to be great. So let me jump into this. This is very quick, but in this scenario, all I want to do is I want to have a one-way conversation. I'm going to show students something from my Google Drive. I'm going to start out by just adding it to my module. That's the easiest way to do it. So I have a module here called Google Assignments LTI Demo. This is an external tool. I would find, in this case, and just everybody get used to seeing this for the next 6 months, you see Google Drive right there. Right below, you see Google Drive LTI 1.3. This one is the new one. I'm going to try to mess with that so I get a little clearer naming convention going on so it's easier to tell. But just know that the LTI 1.3 is our new one. First time I go in, it's going to ask me to authorize my account. And it says, okay, what item do you want to share with your students here? Had some, let's just make this nice and easy. Here we go. I have a drawing that I'll add and attach. And I'll finalize that by clicking add item. That was a drawing. I just want to come through and show you kind of what these look like. You remember this external tool. It's still Google Drive LTI 1.3. Oh, try that one more time. It's a little glitch they're still working out, which I don't love. I'm going to click off of it for a second and go back. Okay, so that triggered it. So now it'll let me find what I want. So let's see, that was a drawing. Here's what a PowerPoint looks like. And you can do this with slides, sheets, you name it, anything you want. Let me click into these just so you see how it is. I'm gonna click on the drawing first. This is something I think has been improved. If you've been doing this for a while, you know, usually when you bring things into Canvas, you get the ribbon up here, the file, view, all those kind of items. With this new tool, it comes in very cleanly, which I like very much. All right, there's no extraneous material here. There's no edit access. It's just the material. Let's go look at that slide presentation. You see the same thing. I see that it goes automatically into preview mode, which is what I wanted. They can click through right here. They can also go full screen if they wanted to by clicking here. So I like a lot of these things that I'm seeing there. So that's when you put in material directly into the module. Now I'm going to add one to a page. So I'll go to page and we'll give it a name. This will be there we go. I'll click to open that, and my edit button is always in the top right in Canvas. All right. Now, if that looks odd to you, one thing that's going on is we're in a transition now between just this layout. If you'll look closely, all the things that you're used to seeing are still here, just they've moved the buttons around a little bit. So to find my LTI, all I need to do is click my plugin. Now it remembers this, but I'm going to go to View All, just so you'll see it. The first time you come in, it'll ask you to do that. It kind of remembers which ones you like the best. Again, we see my two Googles. For the sake of what we're doing, I'm going to choose my Google Drive LTI 1.3. Again, authorize. And in this case, I want them to see that Google Doc. Now, what I've just done is, that is not for them to write on. That's not for them to do an assignment. This is a one-way conversation. I put it in the top part of my RCE. I am sharing material with them only. And I can save that. That could also be part of a different thing. I could add in my learning targets if I wanted to. I'm going to insert my learning target image. And my directions. Read the document below. When you're finished, click Next. Yikes. So that can be just one way to put it in the RCE. So now the students would see this as a page. I would have my learning targets, my directions. All I need to do is read this document, and then I click next. I could just as easily, so anywhere you see the rich content editor, you can do exactly that. So as you know, when you do an assignment, you also have access to the rich content editor. So just for the sake of saying it, if I wanted to do an assignment, that's not spelled right either. I'm having some typing struggles here today. All right, in this case, let's say that I wanted them to review a PowerPoint, and then they're going to answer something down below in this scenario. So this is a common document that they all just look at. So, okay. Review the drawing and answer questions below. All right, we'll play that out. So that's how you do that one-way conversation. You can either put it in directly in the module like we did in the first two examples. You can also use anywhere you see that rich content editor, which is like almost like the Microsoft Word ribbons. You can add it in through that methodology as well. So before I jump back to our other version, Carrie, do we have some more questions?
We do. Park says, what will happen to all of our assignments in the Google Cloud when it is no longer available? Will they be integrated into the LTI 1.3?
Okay, so the way this will work is, let me get to where my, and click back on my ribbon, get out of here. Okay, so what has happened is, and let me show everybody what we're talking about just in case you're newer to this process. All right, in the past, and I mean, this will continue to work throughout the spring. I would go to External Tool. I would choose Google Docs Cloud Assignment. It would pull up my Google Drive again. And in this case, I'm making a template. So everybody just bear with me. I'm kind of jumping ahead just a little bit. I don't know what that is. There we go. Okay. I would finish out my assignment just like always. All those things are good. So if you look at this, everything that I just did, everything I did is fine. What will have to happen is after Google Docs stops existing, the only thing you would have to do is, again, you would go to External Tool. Instead of this one, you would click down here and you would just link back to that document that you wanted to have. So all of your instructions, you know, rubrics, things like that would be untouched. It's just a matter of you're going to link to the correct document, or yeah, you'll reestablish the link to the document. We good on that, Michelle? We're going to talk about that some more in a little bit.
Yeah, so we manually will have to do that part of it.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And one thing that I've been kind of thinking about just to make that less oppressive is instead of trying to think about it a whole semester wise, just probably I'm going to turn these on for next week kind of deal and just do the ones for that week, just 1 week at a time. But whatever workflow works best for you. But yeah, that will have to happen.
I have a quick question,
Sure.
and you might get to this, but when we do the external tool and we add like a Google Doc for the students to type in, it automatically makes that copy for them. And you know how they see it and it populates that blue link and they can open it and make it bigger. Will this update also make that window bigger on Canvas so it's not this like puny little window for them to type in?
Yes. And one of the ways that we can kind of control that as well, let me see if I'm remembering right. If you look right here where I pick my external tool,
Yep.
I can click right here where it says load this in a new tab.
Yeah.
And when they do that, yeah, they'll click that button. It'll automatically go up in a new tab. So there we go. And now I'm full screen.
For middle school, we try to get it all in one spot, so there's less tab management.
Makes sense?
So, okay, but so that window essentially will stay the same.
Yeah, because Canvas always wants to have the help menu over here and
Mm-hmm.
those items. So yeah, that would be the trade-off.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, good question.
Can I add, just ask a follow-up question to what Jamie just asked? If the kids are in that window that she just mentioned and they're working, if they click out of that window and then the next day they go back in and continue working on that assignment, has that saved all of the work, or do they have to go back into their Google Drive to find the document and work from their Google Drive? Does that make
That's
sense?
a live link. Yeah, that's a live link. So either way they get to it, it would, you know, it's Google, so it auto saves every 5 seconds. So it would have all their work. They can
Okay.
get to it either in Drive or through Canvas, whichever one's
Okay.
easiest.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that this makes it bigger with the tab, but it's confusing to the students because then they don't understand. They just need to go back to the tab in the assignment and then click submit. That what they just worked on in that tab is actually what's being submitted.
Yeah, I think we just need to communicate that that link's happening. Let's see, do I have that assignment published yet? Let me show you what this looks like from the kids' point of view. Am I published? Modules published, blank assignments published. All right, we should be good to go. Let me jump in as my daughter real quickly. All right, we are Miss Addison now. I'm gonna go to this assignment. Oh shoot, I didn't log into her as Google. Okay, but again, you can see I have these materials here. Is it gonna let me do it? It says this document your teacher has created for you. It's a Google Cloud, and I see my blue button right there. So yeah, it does think I'm adding. That's good. All right. And so yeah, what we need to do is we just need to keep telling our kids, just type and then click submit. The issues that I see most commonly is when we come over here and start doing file, make a copy, all those kind of things, and it breaks that communication with Canvas. That's the most common problem I see with cloud or what I anticipate with LTI 1.3, which again is just a training piece, honestly. So any more questions right there before we? All right, we'll circle back. Okay, so jump back to present mode here. So now I'm going to break it down. So we looked at how you have that one-way communication with the students, either through direct module share or through the rich content editor. But now we want to actually get something back from the students. And so now, again, this one's pretty good. The next one, I want you to, there's going to be some very specific trade-offs that I want to make sure everybody understands here on the submission stuff. All right, so if I'm going to have a student create an original document, and we already talked about that a lot of things are original documents. All I need to do is when I set that assignment up, I've given very clear instructions of what I expect, what that item would be. I would choose online and file upload. Now, folks, you do have a lot of choices here, a lot of choices. Now, if I choose file upload, it gives me an additional pop-up that says I can restrict upload file types. Now, for some of you, like Michelle, who does visual arts, or maybe like a chorus teacher that wants students to submit MP3s of themselves singing, if you very clearly made your students understand what file types y'all work with, then that is totally fine. What's going to happen is Canvas, if I say .mp3 right here, then Canvas will only allow students to upload an MP3. If they try to bring in an MOV file or an MP4, it will reject that item. So you need to be very, very clear with what you want students to do. So again, you're investing that time up front to make sure they understand, to prevent having people turning in random items down here. So again, there's a trade-off there. This could be media recordings, as always, website URL. If you wanted them to use their share URLs to get that live link, you could use this. And then text entry, of course. But to do just a file entry, it's online, file uploads, and for most of us, I would leave it right there. Now, when you do that, from the student's point of view, it's going to give them, it's going to open up their entire Google Drive. Let me jump back in as Addison so you can see that. My poor children are going to have so many files in their Google Drive. They just don't even know yet. All right. Okay, so now I'm the student. If I click File, Submit, or I'm sorry, Submit Assignment, here it'll pull up my entire Google Drive. So anything on there. So MP4, MP3, drawings, Google Docs, Microsoft Word, any of those things, it'll allow me to do that with. I'm on a PC right now, so I won't do that. What's up?
I'm sorry, could you go back to that screen that you were just on?
Yep.
And when kids upload their assignments, they were given 3 choices. They could either upload from a file on their computer, they could upload from that CK12, and then they could upload from a Google Drive. So now they have a new option to upload from their Google Drive LTI 1.3. If we have toggled this new platform for kids, are they going to see this 4th component? And then is this something that we're going to have to teach them? They're going to see that 4th tab as well?
2 parts on my answer here. First off, I'm trying to figure out how to get off CK12 out of there as well. So that's the first part. Second thing is, on a Chromebook, don't even worry about any of those things. Just leave it on File Upload and click Choose. On a Chromebook, their hard drive is their Google Drive. So it'll pull up anything that they've done.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
But my experience has been that choose file does not work all the time.
Can you give me a scenario?
I mean, my students cannot get the choose file to work, then they will go to their Google Drive and that'll work through that. Like, it's not recognizing their Google Drive as the hard drive for file upload. Only if they have an image, like when they took a picture of something. But if it's something in their Google Drive, like a document, like a reflection, then it will not upload through that file upload.
I don't have a Chromebook with me. All right. I
mean, historically, that's been the issue. So I've just told them to use Google Drive.
Okay. You're in it much more often than I am. So let me get my facts straight. Let me try it out.
Okay.
And figure that out.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. When I've had kids share their screen with me to teach them to upload, they have to go through their Google Drive to upload the assignment that I'm asking them to upload. So that was my concern between having them differentiate between the Google Drive and the Google Drive LTI.
Okay. So just going off memory here, when they do this on a Chromebook and that kind of gray screen comes up, on the left-hand side, do they have the option to toggle between recent, My Drive, downloaded? Do they see those? Do y'all know?
I have no idea.
All right,
that's where I feel like I'm at a disadvantage because I don't have a Chromebook to see what they're seeing all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I bet we could work this out in about 2 minutes if I had one with me, but I don't. So let me double check that and make sure that the information I'm giving you is accurate, and I'll reach back out. I've got everybody's email that did that form, but that's a critical question for sure. So we'll work that out and get a good answer. Okay? Yeah. Somebody was about to say something, I think.
No, go ahead. Never mind.
Okay. All right. So that is type 1. That doesn't change a great deal versus what's going on currently. Some things I want you to know about this, and this is I'm going to tell you what it is right now and then what it should be. So when people do things in this manner, here's what matters. It will go to SpeedGrader. A file has been uploaded to Canvas in some way, so Canvas acknowledges that that transaction took place. So the reason I say it that way is, first off, it'll show up as that it needs to be graded icon in your Canvas gradebook. The second reason I say that is, think about the calendar from the kid's point of view. If Canvas doesn't know the child has submitted, or if Canvas does know, it'll cross it off. so that, you know, everybody sees it, especially the parents will see that that item has been done. I already talked about how when you do a file submit, Canvas goes and basically takes a picture of that file as it is at that moment in time. If the kid changes something and clicks submit again, when you go to SpeedGrader, you're going to see that there were multiple submissions. So you can toggle through those as well. But those are the things that you would want to know. You can grade them through SpeedGrader. As I said, this would basically be your view. And you've got Canvas's tools for grading these items. To get to SpeedGrader, for those of you that are a little bit newer, you can either go to your gradebook and get it from there. You can go to the assignment itself and click in the top right to go to SpeedGrader. You name it. There's several ways to get to SpeedGrader, and just let me know if you need any help with that. So now this last topic, and here's the one that's kind of in flux. All right. If you want to share a template with students right now through Google LTI 1.3, everything on the front end is very similar. This is a little animation. I'm not going to talk during it, so you can soak that in for a second. Okay, so for those of you coming out of Google Classroom or about to join us in Canvas from Google Classroom, that should have looked very, very familiar. You're going to go to assignments, just like always in Canvas. Once you get down to submission type, you'll choose external tool, Google 3.1.3, excuse me. From there though, and there right there is the key feature, you're leaving Canvas. Okay, you're actually going into Google's assignment platform, which is not part of Canvas right now. You go, you fill it out there, and then I'll talk more about that in a second. But I do want you to just notice that you set it up just like the other external tool, Google 1.3, pick the template you want, and that's how you do it. So let me talk through some of the considerations here. Just like with both products, every student will get a copy of that document of their very own. So this is another thing that I like though. The files are automatically organized for the student in their Google Drive, just like we're used to in Google Classroom. So if I'm a student in Michelle's class, if I go to my Google Drive, I've got a folder called Classroom. Inside of that folder, I might see Visual Basics 1. Inside of that folder, I would see the individual assignments that I've done. All that is done automatically through Google, and I love that part. From the teacher's point of view, if I'm Michelle, I have a folder in my Google Drive called Classroom. Inside of that, I've got one called Visual Basics 1. Inside of that, I see all the assignments that I've done, and if I click into that, I see all the students' copies as well. So if I wanted to go in there and check file history, or if I wanted to have that ongoing conversation, like, okay, you need to tweak this, you need to tweak this, and then change it, and let's look again in a couple of weeks, you could do that as well. So you're getting all the benefit there of Google Classroom's organizational tools on the back end, which is very nice. This bullet right here, number 3, you can provide inline feedback, and that feedback actually happens in Google. So at this moment, what is going on in Google Assignments is not getting passed back to Canvas SpeedGrader. So that's one of the big trade-offs that I want everybody to understand. At this moment, if a student does something in Google 1.3, Canvas doesn't seem to be hearing about it. That grade is not passed back to Canvas. So you go and you grade in Google, and that grade stays in Google as of right now. And then you would have to manually transpose that over to your Canvas gradebook. But again, for those of you coming right out of Google Classroom, that should be pretty normal for you. But if you've been doing Canvas for a while, that's uncomfortable because we're used to our grades automatically doing their job. That was supposed to have been fixed already. They're currently working on it now. And that is supposed to be fixed and ready, in full production in early spring, according to Canvas and Google. Actually, I should say Google, because Google is the one doing that. Canvas is in the pipeline, but Google, you have to go to Google's page to get those updates. So I hope to tell you at some point soon that those grades will pass back automatically for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, if the grades are in Google, Canvas doesn't know something has been turned in on time or late or anything. So if we think back to that parent's calendar where they're trying to check on their students about what's been turned in, that would be something we want to think about. Canvas doesn't know a transaction has happened, so it doesn't mark that student as complete. What else? If you are using rubrics in Canvas, but we're grading in Google, Google doesn't see those rubrics. You can create rubrics in Google, and it's another thing that they're going to try to get rolled out before the end of the spring. But at this time, like Canvas rubrics graded in Canvas, Google rubrics graded in Google. All right.
Question.
Yep.
So if you use a Google assignment, you can still use a Canvas rubric though and grade it through SpeedGrader.
In this case where you're making a template,
Yes.
you wouldn't be able to see them in the same spot would be the problem. Let me show you what I mean by that, if that's all right.
Yes.
All right, so when you grade assignments in Google, okay, so this is my other daughter, okay, here's what she sees. So you had your instructions up top. She's gonna click here to open her file that I made for her. When she's all done, she'll click submit. It says, are you sure this is what you want to do? And just notice the naming convention, student's name, first, last initial, and then the template. And they find out that they were all done. Now, when I see this, first off, I can't get to this from my SpeedGrader. SpeedGrader doesn't know this happened. I can only grade Google assignments from the assignment page. So there's one huge difference between the two products right now, is that, again, I don't go to my Gradebook to do this. I go to the assignment that's in my module. When I scroll to the bottom of my assignment where my thing was, I now see this screen. It tells me that 2 students have submitted it. And I click on the first one. That will take me into their grader. Let me see if I've got that. So here we go. I wish I could freeze that. But if you caught that right there, you're grading inside of Google. You're not grading inside of Canvas anymore.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I don't think you would be able to see your Canvas rubric while you're grading your Google assignment at this moment.
Okay. So if we just attach it as an external tool submission, and it's just a Google Doc, and we attach a rubric via Canvas to the Canvas assignment, we can or cannot do that in SpeedGrader.
SpeedGrader would never see the Google product. Now, what I would recommend and what you're describing, and this is one of those choices I was going to just help everybody understand, what you're doing right now with Google Cloud submissions. Yeah. If that's working, I would run that out until Google fixes the problem.
Perfect. That's exactly, okay, great.
And that's one, and so, and y'all, here's the thing, like even rolling this out, I wanted to wait on this until Google got it 100% done. But there is at least one very big trade-off on the pro side that helped the team and I decide that we should probably go ahead and do this. And if you look at the top of your screen here, the check plagiarism and originality, what that will do is, and we're gonna talk about it in a second, but what it'll do is when a kid turns in an assignment this way, it'll run that child's assignment by everything on the internet, including every document in our domains drive. So if their older sister turned that in to Ms. To Ms. Hip 2 years ago, it will see that document and flag it as, potential plagiarism. So those are kind of the two pieces. Google assignments, in my opinion, is not 100% ready until they get their grade pass back fixed. But the check plagiarism feature, if I'm that ELA or the social studies teacher and I've got 2 or 3 big papers a year, this is very, very attractive, and I wanted to make that available too. So again, I think I may have talked around your question. Sorry about that. I do that.
That's okay. So basically, if we really want the plagiarism checker, we're going to do it this way. But if we want to continue to grade within Canvas using rubrics, we're going to do it the old way. before the full integration of the LTI happens.
That is exactly right. That's exactly what I would do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, I think we want to pick and choose. So if I've got a DBQ coming up for AP US History, I would run that one through Google Assignments, and I would turn the plagiarism checker on. If I've got a really good project laid out in visual arts that uses Canvas rubrics, and I've got my grading system down in there and it's working great, I would leave that alone until Google just gets ready. And you know, the way Google works, I don't know if it happened on y'all's or not, because there's no rhyme or reason to it. But this morning in my Google Meets, I got a hand raising icon, and I can blur my background, or I can change my background. Google did not tell us those things were going to happen today. We just turned it on and they were there. That's how Google is. So I'm very hopeful that Google is working furiously on these things, and it will just happen in the next little bit. It may. So there we go.
Will that check
Yep.
images as well for plagiarism?
I have no idea.
Because
an
you
interesting
can do
question.
that. You can do that in Google.
You can check. Oh, that's right. You can search by image, can't you?
Yes. And it'll pull it up if there's an image close to it. It'll give you the sites.
Okay. Well,
That'd be helpful in photography.
You will be the test for that then. Let's try it. Yeah, that's, I hadn't even thought about that. That's neat. Let me show you real quick so this is my Canvas gradebook for the course that we're in right now. You can see that it registered. So this was my students make an original document. Canvas shows me that 2 things have been submitted and I need to grade these. These would also be crossed out on my calendar automatically as well because it's happened. But if you look over here, these LTI 1.3s, these have been done because I did them as my children. They were turned in, but there's no register inside of Canvas that they were turned in. Okay, so I would need to go in, I'd click up here to go to the actual assignment and grade them there, and then I would need to bring my grades over. Google says that they are working on this right now, and hopefully this will be fixed and you grade wherever you grade, and then these will automatically populate. When they do, that fixes a lot of issues, okay?
Will,
Yeah.
I got a question on that. That is not, please tell me that is not going to change over until it is absolutely fixed, because to me, that seems like an awful lot of extra work put on.
I love it. That tells me you've been in Canvas for a while. Yeah, having to type a grade twice is ridiculous. I agree. So that's why both of these tools are available for right now. So if you've got a good thing going, you don't need to change anything about what you're doing. But I did want to tell you that this was happening today so that when you see 2 Google items down there, there's no confusion by you or the students or anybody. So again, if what you're doing is working well, keep doing it.
So when they do switch it over, is it going to show up in our speed grader, our grade book like that on Canvas when they do finally make the switch?
That is correct. They're supposed to have that functionality complete very, very soon, but this is not a mandatory swap until August. So we have every reason to, to truly believe it's going to get worked out. That is correct. My guess is it's going to happen well before the mandated switch. I think it's going to work here in the next month or so, honestly.
Okay.
Is that it? Yeah. Yep. But again, if you're doing a good thing with Google.Cloud Submit right now, by all means, keep it rolling. You can just ignore this for right now. Okay. One more good thing for those of you that haven't been in Google Classroom in a while. When you do grade in Google, you do have access to a grade bank, which I do like that feature very much. So if I'm that ELA teacher that probably has, I just constantly write subject-verb agreement, I can make a bank of very common critiques or very common suggestions. And as I'm grading, I can click on the bank, click here, click here, click here. And there's a bank of feedback that I've already created. So that's a good thing that will be there at some point. Or I'm sorry, that's available now if you choose to go the 1.3 route. Here's just some general stuff for you. Points, just like we said in SchoolNet earlier today, whatever value you give something in Google, probably give it the same thing in Canvas, just so nobody gets confused. One caveat to that is Google assignments have to be worth at least 1 point. So if, for example, if you were doing an extra credit assignment, you would put that in Google as maybe 1 point, and then in Canvas put 0 points. So just be aware of that. Google assignments have to be worth at least 1 point. Due dates, if you've got a bunch of different due dates in Canvas, so maybe your A-Day kids here, your B-Day kids there, your virtual kids over here. If you've got all those dates in Canvas, I would probably just leave dates off in Google. Those two things don't talk, so that would be one way to get around that. Just leave that off altogether, and then Canvas will impose those due dates the way you want them to. Let me say this about, just so you understand the back end, we were talking about back ends a little bit ago. When you make a copy of this, so send every kid a copy of this template, what that actually does in your teacher Google Drive is it instantly makes a copy of your original material. That copy then gets this right here in front of it. It'll actually say template and then whatever you had it named. So now at no point do kids have access to your original material. It's still safe and sound where it was. Kids will have access to this template version, and then that's what they get as well. All right. When the students get that, it'll be like Rebecca H period, and then the name of the template is how it looks in their Google Drive as well. Like I said, the structure that's in Google Classroom that I think is really good, we'll start taking advantage of that in Canvas, which is the best of both. And you can check in on anybody's assignment at any time by going into your Google Drive. Right on through that. So the Originality Checker, I mentioned this, but what the Originality Checker is going to do is it takes the full power of Google and looks for plagiarism. So what it'll do is it'll look at an entire bit of writing. If the kids are doing an essay or something like that, they can, and then you have to toggle on to get the Originality Checker turned on for that assignment, because you wouldn't do this on random assignments. You would do it only when it's worthwhile. And it'll run every word of that against everything else on the internet, including documents in our domain. You'll get a report that says these parts right here were not cited correctly, or these parts over here came from this site or that site, and it's a good thing. When you turn the Originality Checker on, just so you know, the students also get access to it as well. So if I wrote my paper, and let's say I'm that 7th grade ELA kid, I'm writing one of my first big papers, I think I understand plagiarism, like I'm trying to be a good guy, but I don't know if I did it right. I can run an Originality report on myself, and it will tell me that I need citations here, here, and here. They can do that up to 3 times before they hit submit. So if we're training our kids up right, by the time it gets to us, hopefully they've run it through the washing machine a couple of times to make sure that they're on the good side of citation. As teachers, as soon as they hit submit, I can pull up their Originality reports, and I get that from my end, and I can use that as well. So just thinking about a scenario I heard about at Union Pines 2 days ago, that would be a very valuable tool in a parent-teacher conference. You know, when we don't always have the evidence we need, this I think will take care of that issue for us. So you all have access to this PowerPoint. There's this is about a 2 to 3 minute video, I think, on how the Originality reports work that is worth your time. I would advise you to check that out if you're interested in that. Oh, didn't mean to click on that. Stop. Okay, we'll go this way. Let me tell you about these resources down here, and then we'll just open it up to questions. This walkthrough right here is for you, the teacher. It's got gifts of how you would set up these different types of assignments. And those things won't change as far as how you set them up. Now, you definitely don't have to start using this right away. I want you to be aware of it, but you don't have to start using it right away. When it is ready to go, when it's 100%, this functionality will work. That workflow will work. So if you just want to keep your eye on these or keep these bookmarked somewhere, that would be great. This workflow right here is basically the graphic of my 2 questions. How do you want to do things in Google? Ask yourself the 2 questions, and that'll steer you in the right direction. Here are some specific banks of little 2 to 3 minute videos of how to do specific things with your new integration there. So, with all that said, let me turn this over to questions, and let's see where we're at. I will tell you that my My gut on this, like I said, I've got 1 foot in each camp. I think there are some good pieces here. I'm excited to see what it becomes. I'm not in love yet. I think there's a couple of things that I would want to get ironed out before I go full bore with this. Where are y'all at? What are your concerns or questions or?
I think it's great. Thanks for sharing it with us. It's a little clunky because it's not all worked out yet, but this will be really a nice tool for those of us who are kind of having to jump ship from Google Classroom and being in that Canvas boat now. So it'll hopefully feel a little bit more familiar, but just kind of based on what you've explained, it's a little clunky until it's smoothed out.
I think that's right. You said it very well. I do hope this will be a bridge for some of our folks that are coming over from Google. It does bring a lot of the best parts of Google over. I'm excited for them to get it worked out, but like most things in Google, they kind of build that plane as they're flying it sometimes. And I think this falls into that category. So again, I'm excited to see where it's going. I look forward to it being 100% ready. Yeah, Michelle?
So I'm just wondering, once they get the Google talking back to SpeedGrader, there won't really be a use for SpeedGrader as it stands now, will there? Because the Google Cloud will be gone and everything will be through Google, right? So then we'll grade everything through Google.
Now that would only be if you use templates for everything you do.
Okay.
Yeah, your file submits, when your kids are turning in, PNGs or whatever it is, those would all still be normal.
So if it's the Google, if it's the one where it's really taking a snapshot, then it would still be in
Nothing
like
really
Google
changes.
Cloud now. Nothing changes.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we'll have to, okay. All right.
So Mr. Herring, is this like Google within Canvas or Google linking to, or Google Classroom linking to Canvas?
I think the first version there is probably the most appropriate or the closest to the mark. This is, if you assign things in Google, this is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So I think what they're doing is they're putting Google assignments inside of Canvas would be how you would say that.
Okay. Because, well, one of the things I really missed about Google Classroom, and I'm a math teacher, is things like quizzes, math games, and other things. I could export my Google Classroom right into that program. It would pull all my students in. It would grade everything and put it right there in my Google Classroom. So do you know with this, is it going to kind of work the same way with all those other programs? Or is this just a Google feature inside of, it's basically just a Google feature inside of Canvas?
Sure. So I think just so we have the same vocab here, I would say that what you just described, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Google was going out to a third-party product and the kids were operating there, and then the grade would come back to Google.
Right.
So what Canvas does is instead of that, it kind of reverses that. It brings that third-party tool inside of Canvas, and then everything happens inside of Canvas, including the grading. Okay. And in Canvas, we call them external tools, but that's what that is. So like Edpuzzles, a lot of things like that. Just from our earlier session, I'm going to take a look at IXL and a few others. So IXL is probably relevant in your world. So those kind of things, and those get graded automatically inside of Canvas as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess what I'm saying, everything is inside versus going out to.
Okay.
So would those need to be added like as an app to Canvas in order for that to work?
Yeah, that's the common vocab for it. We use the term LTI, but it's approximately the same thing. So the way it works is basically most of these companies at this point work with Canvas to a degree. Some are further along than others. But what happens is instead of you as a teacher having like a roster that you have to build, like in Google Classroom, you have, all right, kids, everybody type in this code to join my class, and you manually build that, and then you send that out. What these things do, or what an LTI is instead of that, I would bring Edpuzzle into my course. And then everybody inside of that course automatically has their Edpuzzle account. Because it's using it just pulls the Canvas credentials is how that works.
Thanks.
Yep. I'll say one more piece about that too is I'm not on the ground, I'm not in all the facilities. So if your school has a tool that that y'all would like to have glued in, like I said, IXL is on my list from an earlier meeting today. Let me know those things and I'll work it out if we can.
Is there a better Discovery Ed integration, or is it just the way it is? Because I feel like it's like Discovery Ed Lite.
Discovery Ed is an interesting topic, and I know Sarah, who's on this call, she's kind of an expert. It's something that she and I have been talking about a lot in the past week about how we get more out of our subscription to Discovery Ed. The middle schools have a lot of the tech books, for example. Nobody else has those. Well, that's not fair. Elementary school, I think, has the science tech book. You guys have all three. The high schools have none. So it's a bit of a moving target. We've got some other issues, and I'm trying not to talk around your question either, but Sarah and some others, so like Cranes Creek Social Studies Department has done a really good job at maximizing their Discovery Ed this semester. I think we just need to put some effort into Discovery Ed, honestly. I think we've, as a group, like we know we have it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've really gotten after it.
Yeah, I think it's just been kind of hard to integrate it into Canvas, and so that might be a part of like the aversion to using it. I don't even want to say aversion. It's not like we're specifically avoiding it. It's just not as easy to integrate into Canvas.
Yeah, one thing we're seeing from our side when we're trying to think through it a little bit is that, you know, Discovery Ed wants everything to happen in Discovery Ed. And what I mean by that is like, it wants you to have your courses built in Discovery Ed. And by that, I mean students. And then it will keep up with the grading, and Sarah, correct me when I'm incorrect here. We're trying to figure out how to automate the creation of the courses. Can we pull them directly from PowerSchool? Can we pull them from, the other good thing about Canvas is Canvas, I mean, it's not the same thing as PowerSchool, but they talk nightly. So if a kid changes from this team to the team down the hall, then by tomorrow morning, Canvas knows that and has reassigned the kid to that teacher. What I would like is if we could sync up Discovery Ed, or if we can just sync up some of these other products with Canvas specifically, not because it's Canvas, but because Canvas talks to PowerSchool. So if we sync these things to Canvas, then whoever is in your PowerSchool is automatically in that course, and it updates every night at midnight. So that's what I would like to see. Because if not, what you get is, if I'm a teacher, I now have to juggle, I have to make sure, like if you just transferred to my team, there's now 6 or 7 different products that I have to put you into my class for. So if you come to me and I'm using like Google Classroom, for example, I have to put you in my Google Classroom now. So that means I now have to go to Edpuzzle, because Edpuzzle pulls from Google, but it doesn't happen every night. So now I need to go to Edpuzzle and do a new pull so that it sees my new Google Classroom students. And, you know, I don't want a teacher having to go 6 or 7 places every time a kid changes down the hall. So those are some of the stuff that I'm working on. That would be nice. If more things talk to PowerSchool, all the better.